Thank you, Mr. Khare. Well, first of all, let me thank all the organizers for giving me this opportunity of sharing my thoughts with all of you over here. Well, Mr. Khare has broadly summed up the whole scenario. I would give a little different perspective, although there would be intersections at times. Of course, all of us are aware that education as such is a great enabler. It's a major tool for bridging the digital divide, which we keep talking about. And education is also a great leveler. Imagine a few years back, we would have never thought that a person like Obama can become the President of the United States of America, the most powerful person in the world. This happened just because of education. So, given the opportunity, any person from any part of the world has the potential of reaching heights, scaling heights. So, education is a must for inclusive growth. Now, when we talk about harmonizing global efforts, strategies for steering education system, when it comes to the developed world, they have things in place and the challenges are less over there. But when it comes to developing nations, we are faced with a major challenge. Like, let's start with India, my country, a developing nation. Starting with the primary education, there are about 1.2 billion people. 70% of the population lives in villages, and there are 637,000 villages. Even one school per village is a tall order. You need 637,000 buildings, 637,000 into N number of teachers. Then that's not the end of it. You need to train those teachers. You need to incentivize them to work in the rural areas, which itself is a big challenge. Coming to higher education, we are aware that where the challenges lie. Some of you must have had a good taste of it. The cutoff in the Delhi University went up to 100%. Imagine. Now, it clearly sends a message to the person with 99.9% that you are good for nothing. But is that a fact? The problem is that it's not that those colleges or universities don't want students. They want them. But what do they do? The challenge of space, the quality of faculty. Of course, you can multiply IITs as we have done. But where are the teachers? And that's the reason that even the new IITs need the old IITs as mentors, which also is a big problem. Many IITs are not really able to handle it still. Then coming to supply of human resources for the industry, you need skilled manpower. India at 75, which has been established to ensure that India becomes a developed nation by the year 2022, they say that we'll have the largest skilled and the best manpower by 2020. That's how we'll really become a developed nation. But that's a tall order given the facts that we need a lot of training institutions. You need people who are really fit enough to train people. And besides that, at present, there is a large manpower who are skilled in their jobs, but they are not formally educated. Of course, they are real experts in their jobs, but they are doomed to be there for all times to come. These were the problems I just highlighted in front of you. Now coming to the solutions part with a global perspective. We have our illustrious son of India, Dr. APJ Kalam, Abdul Kalam, the former president of the country, who is really concerned about people not only in the country, also people globally, and that's how he came up with this notion of empowering 3 billion people. And one of his projects was the Pan-African E-Network project, which he offered to the African continent when he was the President of India. And this particular project has really opened the global perspective, how things can be done at the global scale. And we at TCIL have been lucky to implement this project for the Government of India. And at present, this project has gained a lot of acclaims. It's been one of the most successful projects in the world. More than 10,000 students from 48 countries in Africa are enrolled in live face-to-face classroom sessions in a virtual environment. And apart from the formal degrees which people receive on this particular network from some of the leading universities of India, and there is a provision for continued medical education for the doctors of Africa from 12 leading hospitals of India. And in order to ensure that this particular quality is sustained even after this project is completed, it's 6.5 years, and Africa takes over 5 leading super specialty hospitals, 1 in each region of Africa, and 5 universities. They'll be part of this network to ensure that they take it forward. And this particular concept has really shown us the way forward in education, that is leveraging technology for spreading education. And this gave rise to further networks. We also implemented SARC Tele-Education Network. Then there is a demand from CLMV countries, and that's where the next project is going to start. Eurasia, PSIDSC nations, that is the Pacific Small Island nations, CARICOM countries, that is where the demand is coming. And now even on commercial terms, there is a demand for GulfNet, which otherwise nobody would have thought about, linking the Gulf nations to India. That is how we go on a global perspective. Now coming to this particular project, it has generated a lot of ideas, a lot of thought process, and solutions to all the challenges that we face. In the primary education sector, it can be done through e-education. All that you need is a local facilitator. Instead of having so many teachers, you have a local facilitator from the same village who's a local village boy. He can be trained in the operation of the equipment, the IT equipment, and the education actually flows from a central location so that the quality from the best of the teachers in the country can go to all the students in the entire nation. Coming to higher education, as I mentioned, the limitations are due to space, faculty. We implemented a project for University of Madras, wherein because their Marina Beach campus is limited, they cannot take too many students. This challenge is true of all the universities. So we help them have education from 10 centers in the same city. Now they have multiplied their university by 10, same faculty delivering the lectures, and the students have a face-to-face interaction, ask questions, submit their assignments online. So it has really taken care of the challenge I mentioned, the higher education, of that 100% cutoff. Coming to human resources for the industry, there are a lot of challenges. Yes, we can use again the e-education there, same way, because quality is something which is very important from the skilled manpower development, and practicals remains a big challenge. Now with robotics, simulation, even these challenges can be met. Now coming to education for the skilled manpower, the government has taken a good initiative in the form of National Skill Development Corporation, and wherein a person, a mechanic who was inducted into this area at the age of 10 and he has become an expert in this field, he also can go in for a sort of a formal education, and starting from a certificate course to a diploma to a degree to post-graduation. He is an expert, he can do a research, have his IPRs on that. Now, what can be done globally? As we have seen from the Pan-African model, sharing of knowledge, then content development, that's a major challenge, as Mr. Khare also mentioned. Let us not be too protective. Let us share this content. There can be digital libraries, and every person, whether he is from remote village in India or Timbuktu or a developed nation, should have access to these digital libraries where content can be developed in a coordinated, proactive manner by experts. And besides that, to take care of the local population, we can have content in local languages, regional languages. Apart from this, for e-networks also, there is a scope for improvisation in the technology. The compression techniques and bandwidth can lower the cost of delivery, and we can simplify on the delivery mechanisms, have single devices instead of having too many IT components which become difficult to handle. It can be a simple device, and these things have already come into the market. So I see a lot of potential for cooperation at the global